Well, hello, everybody. My name is Steve Neidlinger. I am the Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Academy of General Dentistry, and very fortunate today to be joined by Dr. Greg Psaltis, who's going to be answering three questions for us. Dr. Psaltis is the author of an excellent article, It's Time for Recess. PhD members, you'll be able to see it in our recent edition of Keystone Explorer. Before I kick it off, our three questions. Dr. Psaltis, what's been going on with you in your life?
Well, much like everybody, the pandemic hit pretty hard. And in my particular case, it mostly impacted my speaking career. I had a busy schedule for last year, and that just went poof. And I've been doing lots of Zoom meetings, which I find to be very trying simply because I'm talking to my computer and it's difficult to get feedback. But I got back up in front of a crowd in Las Vegas at the ADA meeting, the SmileCon meeting, and it's really fun to be back in the energy of CE. On another note, the project that I do down in Cabo San Lucas, my volunteer project down there, also had a hiatus during the pandemic for obvious reasons, but we have gotten it back up and running. And I was just down there last week, as a matter of fact, with another team of volunteers. So been keeping busy and doing my best to deal with the pandemic.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like you found a great way to de-stress, which is head to Cabo for a mission every now and then. But that said, not all of us are so lucky, but there are other ways we can go about it. So if it's okay with you, why don't we dive into our three questions?
I'm totally ready.
Okay. Question number one. In your article, you mentioned that you serve the roles of father, husband, homeowner, and being a dentist is just one of those roles, but not your entire life. This seems like a fairly important perspective. So many dentists associate their entire life's purpose with their career. Why do you think that is? And why is it so important to keep this perspective in mind?
Well, that's a terrific question, I've got to say, Steve. And my answer to that is that I think more so for males than females, I think that men tend to identify with their work. Part of this is just the years-long tradition, which I believe is slowly changing now. But the years-long tradition, certainly in my generation and maybe some others, that the man is the breadwinner. And so he pours his energy into it. He's put a lot of years of education into it. And somehow that just feels like it has a more important place in his life than these other roles. But in fact, the old saying goes, very few people are on their deathbed saying, I wish I'd spent more time at the office. So for me personally, for reasons I could expand on, but won't, I chose many years ago to bring a partner into my practice, and we were the co-owners of a solo practice. And as a result, we each only worked half time. And because of that, I was able to develop my volunteer program in Mexico, develop a speaking program, and more importantly, have a lot of time with my kids, which, by the way, included taking my two sons to all 30 major league ballparks.
Well, fantastic. Sounds like a great way to practice.
It is.
Here for question number two.
I am.
Okay. Managing your time and taking control of your own stress, it's a very freeing thing to do. Are there any specific examples of changes that you implemented that made that big difference in your life?
Well, I find that I love my work. I have to tell you that. Like, I did not go dragging off to the office every Monday morning going, oh no, here we go again. I had a tremendous amount of fun by working with children all the time. But of course, there are all the other issues. There's the insurance issues. There's the team issues. There are all those issues. And so I found those to be stressful in spite of my enjoyment of the work per se. So I think that when I opted to really have a sit down with my wife and discuss what is most important to us, it provided me with a way to really look at, well, what is important for me? I think one of the biggest problems that many people have is they don't have a map to get to what they really want. They can always say what they don't want. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be this and that. But rarely when you say to somebody, well, what do you really want? It's, I think, very usual to have people go like, And so for me, when I identified that travel in my case was what I really wanted, It provided an outlet for me so that I could be getting exactly what I wanted and still be within my practice. So for me, it was de-stressing for me because I wasn't wondering when in the world can I travel again. I simply made the time for it.
Excellent. So accentuating the positive, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Okay, quick question number 3. What would you say to a young dentist who may not have as much ability to make radical changes in either their schedule or their practice?
Well, that is a terrific question. And I do talk to young dentists that say to me, well, you know, I can't do these things because I have a $300,000 debt. And what I say to them is, how many years do you plan on practicing? So just to make the numbers easy, just the numbers, they might say to me, well, I think I'll probably practice for 30 years. I go, great. So you have a $300,000 debt. You're going to practice for 30 years. Think of it in terms as a $10,000 a year debt for the next 30 years. Don't see the mountain, see the speed bumps, and you can navigate those. And the other thing that I would say is that, and this is just a personal opinion, I have no data for this, is I feel like many of the young people somehow want to have it all immediately. They want to buy the big house, they want to have the big car, and what they do is they saddle themselves with debt. And as I mentioned in my article, when you have debt, then you are going to work to serve your debt. But when you keep your debts down, you are going to work to serve your patients. And I believe that when you are there to serve your patients, you will have better results and you'll probably have better income. And so to me, for the young dentists out there, I just don't think of your whole debt as something you have to do tomorrow. We live in the 5G world and everybody wants something now. And delayed gratification is maybe a lost art, but I certainly would say that it's a very important piece of your long-term happiness and your current happiness.
Okay, excellent advice for all those young dentists out there. Thanks so much. Dr. Psaltis, thank you very much for joining us today. PhD members, I recommend you pick up Keystone Explorer. Check out Dr. Psaltis's articles and all the articles we have in there. Dr. Psaltis, any parting thoughts you'd like to share with the group?
Well, I think I've been out and spoken with your group several times. I have several friends in the group, and I just want to say a big hello to all of you that I have seen before. I also want to invite anybody who has a pediatric situation that they would like some advice. They can write to me, and as long as they do not apologize for bothering me, that's my least favorite starter. But if simply write to me and give me as much information as you can, history, child's age, radiographs, photos, if you have them, if I feel I can render an opinion, I'm always happy to do that. It is not a bother to me. So mostly greetings to my friends, and I hope that sometime we'll be able to get together again. Feel free to take advantage of my ability to give you some advice if that's helpful to you.
All right, that's appreciated. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us in our master tracks. And thanks for this offer to assist as needed. It is very much appreciated. Thank you very much for being a friend of PAGD. Dr. Psaltis.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.